Good morning. It's Saturday. I'm in the office. You know what that means. The Saturday Morning Hustle. I'm about to record the Saturday Morning Hustle podcast, but I have to admit this week did not go as I thought it would. It did not go as I planned. I did not get to go down my to-do list and my checklist and my priority list that I wanted to, but kept a positive attitude, was adaptable, was flexible, and in the end, here at the end of the week, everything worked out okay. So remember, you want to have a plan, you want to set priorities, you want to have action that makes sense, that is efficient and effective, but the universe is going to give you what it gives you. Take it as it comes, have a great attitude about it, and continue on to success. That is the focus. That is the subject of our Saturday Morning Hustle today. So here goes. We're going to record the podcast now. Appreciate you guys tuning in here on the behind the scenes video aspect of the podcast. So I'm going to bring up the microphone here, put the headphones on, and start recording the Saturday Morning Hustle podcast. I appreciate if you guys would go check it out. iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, the Anchor app, Pod Chaser, anywhere else you find great podcast to get the full audio version of the podcast. So here we go. Good morning. It's Saturday. I'm in the office. You know what that means. The Saturday Morning Hustle podcast. And today we're talking about setting priorities, having a plan, but the big but, there's always a but being adaptable and flexible when those things don't work out for you the way that you expect them to, because that is reality. Getting things to go exactly how you want them to is not very realistic. And if you've been in business, if you've been working, if you have been trying to accomplish something at any point in your life, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So here's the big picture. This week did not go as I anticipated. It did not go as I planned. My to-do list was all over the place. But because I was adaptable, because I was flexible, because I didn't get too uptight and panicked about it, instead just took the opportunities as they came, allowed myself to be in the process, not constrained by the process, actually got to the end of the week in a very positive light where all my clients are happy, I'm happy, I got things achieved I needed, and I set myself up for success next week, of course, after I put in the work in the office today. That's why I'm in the office for the Saturday Morning Hustle. So, has this happened to you? I'm sure it has, right? How many times have you started Monday morning with a to-do list, with priorities, with a really clear picture of A leads to B, leads to C, leads to D, and 10 minutes in, or 2 hours in, or the end of the day Monday, or somewhere on Wednesday, everything falls apart, right? It happens. It happens to the best of us. It happens to all of us. Now, number one, don't think that doesn't mean you shouldn't have a plan. You absolutely should have a plan. You should have priorities. You should have taken the time to organize those priorities, put them into tactics, actionable items, by what is most important or what needs to be done so that the other things can get done. You need to be organized. You need to be stepping into things as effectively and efficiently as possible with the idea that things will work the way that you expect them to. But be prepared for sometimes small things don't work out, sometimes big things, sometimes a complete derailment. Anything that is within your control to adopt and adapt to, you absolutely should. It'll be beneficial. Keep a cool head, keep a great attitude, and keep moving forward. Sometimes major things happen. Your building might burn down. The power might go out. There might be a weather event. There might be national news that takes the focus off of everything. You might have a client who won't call you back. You might have something technical that is completely keeping you from doing what you need to do. These things happen. They're very frustrating. But understand, it's still a microcosm of your week, your month, your quarter, your year. It's not a make or break unless it's your fault. Now, if it's your fault because you overslept or you didn't prepare or you just simply didn't do something or you took the wrong approach to it, you ignored the client, you let your ego get in front of your work ethic, whatever it is, then you have a problem. You've self-created it, and so no one's really feeling bad for you. Might as well take your medicine, own up to it, improve yourself, and move on. But If there are things out of your control, if there are things in the universe, especially if the client is the problem, even if they don't realize it, they kind of do, even if they won't ever admit it. They understand how the process works. So things that didn't get done on Monday or Tuesday, I expected it didn't get done until Friday, or not even getting done until today. It is okay because I came at it with the right attitude, because I communicated with my partners in the process, because I didn't blame anyone. I didn't panic. I didn't get frustrated. I didn't get angry. I didn't bring a bad attitude to the process, but instead kept a positive attitude, communicated, did what I could, understanding what I can control, because through my own effort, and the things that I can't control, moved other things up in the priority or access because I have the opportunity to do them. It's better to do something than nothing. And ultimately, everything circles back. So it's more about your attitude and approach to accomplishing things than it is a checklist of items that get done. Even though the checklist of items and things getting done in the right order and things getting done, not just talked about, but actually accomplished, is extremely important. But you have to balance these two things. You have to put priority in the planning, in the idea of execution, in the attempt at execution, actual execution, but understanding that when execution becomes out of your control or is something else, changes the timelines, the priorities, the parameters, whatever it is, that you allow that to happen if that change is positive for everyone or unavoidable. The two things that you can do. Now, if it's not positive, if it's going to be detrimental to the other people involved in the process, but maybe positive for you, you should put them in front of their priorities ahead of yours if you're a good team player. If it is something minor or something that they're not going to be affected by, you can make these adjustments. If it's something that's good for everyone, no one's going to be mad about it. Even if it's not good for everyone, even if they are going to be mad about it, but it is something that is out of your control, again, a technical issue or something that you absolutely can't do anything about, the key to surviving the glitch is communication, is stepping right up, letting people know in the process that the process has changed, not making excuses, but explaining what happened, and then putting the possibilities, the opportunities in front of them, allow them to be part of the process, the decision-making process, as to how you all collectively move forward as a group. This is what you do with clients. This is what you do with your boss. This is what you do with when you're the boss and you have people working underneath you. This is with your collaboration partners. This is anything where other people are waiting on you or expecting you to achieve something so that they can achieve what they do, part of the team, part of the project, and it doesn't get done. It's okay if it doesn't get done, if the communication is good, if the reasoning is okay, if the group success and the benefit of others is paramount. All these things will allow you a lot of freedom and a lot of grace from the people in the process. I can tell you my experience this week was nothing went as planned. Nothing happened on the day or the time or in the order I expected it to. But because I communicated, because I didn't get frustrated and angry, but instead embraced the idea of moving on to the next item, move it up, move around, do what you had to do, made sure that it got put back on the list, got kept high on the priority, circled back, did not allow it to ultimately derail everything that was happening. I got to keep everything on track, although not as planned, and invited some new opportunities and could have made for a bad, frustrating, terrible week. Instead, made for a very good, positive, happy to be here week. So again, we always talk about in this podcast, the two things you can control in business are your attitude and then your work ethic, how much effort you put into something, attitude and effort. So this week is a prime example of I had to put some extra effort in to make things work, but it did work because I kept a great attitude about it and understood that being a professional is all about communication, taking responsibility when it's necessary, not making excuses, but explaining to people what's happening. And when you do these things, when you have it, the proper ideas, the proper attitude, the proper approach to the people that are participating with you, you will find 9 times out of 10, they'll understand, they'll take the pressure off of you. You can adapt, you can adjust, you can change what you need to change, and it all works out. Amazing how that happens. So it's easy to get frustrated and angry and upset and just downright stop because something doesn't go your way, because the priorities get jumbled up, because something becomes harder than it should have been, or simply the plan is just not proceeding as the plan should. It's easy to get frustrated at that. It's easy to let that stop you, slow you down, deter you, give you a negative attitude, which ultimately, even if you have to do more effort to make up for something, doing less effort with a terrible attitude ends up taking more energy from you. So not getting angry, not getting upset, not letting your attitude change anything, keeping yourself moving forward as well as possible, being communicative with your partners, collaborators, allowing them to release the pressure off of you because they understand, because they have been there too, because if anyone who's ever done anything in business or life, those things don't go as well as planned. And if you're showing effort and attitude, the two things we can control, you're going to come out on top. That's the scenario. It worked out for me this week, and I hope it works out well for you too. So appreciate you guys tuning in to the Saturday Morning Hustle podcast. Of course, again, this week, each and every week, Saturday, I'm in the office, out working the competition while they're still sleeping. You are too. That's why you listen to the podcast. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next week.